Ever wondered how to create your own webinar? This step-by-step guide will walk you through the process of creating your first webinar, from start to finish. But because Demo Walter, as happens a lot, was very excited to do the demo, I had to split this video up in two parts. So enjoy the first part of this two-part series on how to create your first webinar from start to finish. So let's get started. Step 1. Figure out your webinar goals. First things first, let's think about what you want to achieve with your webinar. What's the goal? This information will help shape what you talk about and how you organize your webinar. Step 2. Choose a webinar tool. Now pick a tool for your webinar. Of course, we recommend WebinarGeek, but it's important to pick a tool that fits your needs and goals. If you're not sure what to look out for when choosing webinar software, check out our video on that subject. Step 3. Set up your webinar. Once you've picked a tool, it is time to set up your webinar. Create the event, decide on the date and time, and set other options like registration, emails, and co-presenter invitations. Speaking of co-presenters, Demo Walter! Yes, thank you Presentation Walter for the invite. Because of course we are WebinarGeek, I am making a video about how to create your very first webinar. So let's use WebinarGeek to create your very first webinar. If you take a look at my screen right now, the first question that you'll be asked is what kind of webinar do you want to create? You have three options. You have a live, automated, or on demand. For now, I'm going to select live. By the way, this is just a very short demo on how to create your first webinar. If you want to know more about how to use WebinarGeek and you want a very in-depth tutorial on how everything in this wonderful tool called WebinarGeek works, I highly recommend that you watch our demo webinar, of course, about WebinarGeek. But for now, we need to fill in a title, of course, so for this time I'm going to select first webinar. Right here you need to select the language. Of course, this is English, so I'm going to keep it in English. Then estimated duration, I'm going to set it to, let's say, 30 minutes. This is a private webinar because I don't want this webinar to be found in any type of SEO because, of course, this is just for a YouTube demo. Then dates and times, as of right now it is the 7th of February and I'm going to set the time to, let's say, 7. Offer replay, these are, once again I'm just going over these settings really quick just to create your very first webinar. But for now your webinar is automatically recorded if you select offer replay yes or no. So I'm going to leave it because I want a replay. Alright, then I'm going to select create and customize. And then we move on to the registration page. As you can see on my screen right now, already there is a registration page, but of course you can edit the registration page if you want to. For now, since I am working for WebinarGeek, I'm just going to leave it as is, but you can change, of course, the contents. You can turn things off. There is some styling options right here, so you can change the color. But for now, this is great because I just want a very simple registration page for your first webinar. Of course, you can go all crazy with it, which I highly recommend, especially for your first webinar, because your first webinar is, of course, your first webinar. And if you immediately leave a first good impression, that helps, of course, a lot within future webinars. But once again, this is the registration page. And of course, we want allow registrations via the registration page. There is a first name here, email here. Well, I'm just going to leave that as is, but you can add extra registration fields if you want to. And the rest of the options that you see right here. Please, if you want to know more, check out our demo webinar because it's just a great in-depth tutorial. Well over 30 minutes about everything that WebinarGeek has to offer. But once again, this is just a very short demo to create your first webinar. Another thing that I would like to show you, as Presentation Walter said, the co-presenter invitations. If you're right here in your webinar and you scroll all the way down, you will see webinar team. And right now I'm, of course, the only main presenter. I'm going to press add team member, and right here you see a lot of options and a lot of text. No, but you have three options, of course, a main presenter, which I am. Then you have the co-presenter and of course the moderator, because chats, and especially since we have the public chat enabled, chats can get very busy if there are a lot of attendees for your webinar. And then the moderator, of course, is very handy, so you can just focus on your presentation and focus on what you want to say, and then let the moderator handle the chat. But we are going to add a co-presenter. There is a list of things that a co-presenter is allowed to do or has options and possibilities to do inside your webinar. You also have custom options, which mean you can give the co-presenter a little more freedom or things they can do inside of the webinar. But for now, I'm just going to add a co-presenter. First name, let's Edwin, and then email is my own email. Let's do that. And then right here it says a box, send invitation email, and that is of course what we want. And then I'm going to have save. So that is how you can add a co-presenter. And of course right now, exactly, my phone just went off because I just got a co-presenter invitation. Another thing that I would like to show you, as presentation Walter said, the co-presenter invitations. If you're right here in your webinar and you scroll all the way down, you will see webinar team. And right now I'm of course the only main presenter. I'm going to press add team member, and right here you see a lot of options and a lot of text. No, but you have three options, of course, a main presenter, which I am. Then you have the co-presenter and of course the moderator, because chats, and especially since we have the public chat enabled, chats can get very busy if there are a lot of attendees for your webinar. And then the moderator, of course, is very handy, so you can just focus on your presentation and focus on what you want to say, and then let the moderator handle the chat. But we are going to add a co-presenter. There is a list of things that a co-presenter is allowed to do or has options and possibilities to do inside your webinar. You also have custom options, which mean you can give the co-presenter a little more freedom or things they can do inside of the webinar. But for now, I'm just going to add a co-presenter. First name, let's Edwin, and then email is my own email. Let's do that. And then right here it says a box, send invitation email, and that is of course what we want. And then I'm going to have save. So that is how you can add a co-presenter. And of course right now, exactly, my phone just went off because I just got a co-presenter invitation. Step 4, plan your content. Create an engaging presentation with a clear structure. Add images and keep in mind the overall flow of the presentation. Think about what you want to share and how you say it. You have different options right here. You can just share your screen, you can upload separate images or a PDF file, and that PDF file will then automatically be set to separate images. So if you have any flashy things in your PowerPoint presentation, for example, you need a PDF, so all of those awesome transitions will be lost. For that, I recommend that you share your screen if you really want those cool animations. But for now, I'm just going to upload a PDF file. How to look good on camera. How fitting. No, and then it will convert your presentation into separate images. And then moving on to the next part, which are our emails. Automatically there is of course the webinar sign up, and that is just a confirmation page, which means that a person has successfully registered for your webinar. And then there is a follow-up email, watch the webinar replay, which is currently not scheduled, but it is there. And since I have the replay turned on, I think I'm going to set it about, let's say, 2 hours. Yeah, of course, 2 hours after the webinar for just those who missed it. So then I'm going to schedule the email. And as it says right here, we are almost done with creating our webinar. And then it says, congratulations, Walter, which is my name. Very nice to meet you. Your webinar is almost ready, and then it will give a short checklist on things you might have forgotten or you might want to add. But of course, we have an active registration page. We do have interactions, and I plan to follow up email, but no reminder email has scheduled, but that doesn't matter for now. So I'm just going to publish my webinar. And that's it for the first part. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about webinars and how to host them, what gear to use, and what it's like to work at a tech startup, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click like on this video and hit the notification bell. And let me know, did you already create your first webinar? Thank you so much for watching. I see you on the next one. Bye!